In the endless white of Siberia, silence is never truly silent. Beneath the frozen winds and the echoing tundra lies a world shaped not only by ice and time, but by memory. Here, people have lived for centuries against all odds, building cultures that defy reason and beauty that thrives in the cold. Yet there are places that no longer exist, villages erased by snow and migration, their stories scattered like frost over forgotten soil. One of them is called Karamensk, a village that vanished overnight, they say. But perhaps it never disappeared. Perhaps it simply changed its form, from walls and roofs into songs, rituals, and echoes. Tonight, we travel deep into Siberia to uncover what remains when a people fade from sight, but not from history. The disappearing villages, a silent migration of culture. Across Siberia's vast map, hundreds of small villages have quietly faded from existence, not because of war nor natural disaster, but because life itself became too heavy to carry through the cold. Generations once thrived here, tending herds, carving wood, singing to the rhythm of the wind. Yet, as the economy shifted and the young drifted toward cities, the heartbeat of these communities slowed. One by one, windows darkened, fires went out, and what was once a village became only a name on an old Soviet map. But when a place vanishes, does its culture vanish too? Anthropologists say no. In Karamensk, even after the last family left, their songs and patterns found new homes, in museums, in oral traditions, in the memories of nomads still crossing the frozen plains. A grandmother's lullaby, a hunter's ritual, a carved reindeer bone, all carry fragments of the vanished. The disappearance is not an end, but a migration of spirit. What the land loses in presence, it keeps in resonance. The empty wooden houses may collapse under snow, but their stories travel through those who remember. And in that way, Siberia's lost villages are not truly lost. They have simply learned another way to exist. People who live with ice, turning cold into culture. In Siberia, cold is not an enemy, it is a teacher. The people who remain here, the Evenki, Yakut, and Nenets, have learned to read the language of frost, the way others read the sky. Their lives are written in ice, the way they move, dress, and build shelters follows rhythms older than civilization itself. Every object they create carries purpose. The curve of a reindeer sled, the fur pattern of a coat, the angle of a snow wall, all calculated to survive, and yet somehow to create beauty within survival. For the Nenets, the tundra is not empty. It breathes, the snow whispers warnings, and the wind tells direction. Children learn early to listen, to sense storms before clouds appear. Their homes, the chum tents, rise and vanish with the seasons, an art form of impermanence. To them, permanence is not strength, adaptability is. But beyond survival lies something deeper, a celebration of coexistence. These Arctic cultures treat nature not as a threat, but as kin. When a hunter takes a reindeer, he offers its spirit a song. When the ice melts, it is greeted like an old friend returning. The cold shapes their hands, but warmth shapes their hearts. In this paradox of freezing landscapes and enduring kindness lies the secret of how humanity learned to live with the impossible. The art of silence, when wind becomes music. In Siberia, silence is never empty. It vibrates, filled with the hidden music of wind, ice, and distant howls carried across the tundra. From this frozen stillness was born one of the world's most haunting art forms, the music of the komus or mouth harp, a small metal instrument barely larger than a finger, yet capable of echoing entire landscapes. When a Yakut musician plays it, the sound doesn't come from the instrument alone. It resonates through breath, bone, and earth. The tones rise and fall like wind circling through mountain valleys. Listeners say it feels as though the air itself begins to speak. Ancient shamans once used these vibrations to communicate with the unseen, believing the komus could bridge worlds, carrying prayers through sound. Today, it is both a spiritual relic and a modern art, performed on international stages but still rooted in ritual. Silence here is not absence. It is the space where creation begins. The Siberians understand that music is not always made of notes. Sometimes it's the pause between them. When a musician stops playing, the wind continues the melody. And in that moment, one realizes Siberia itself is the instrument, vast, patient, and alive. Cuisine of survival, tasting the frozen world. To understand Siberia, one must taste it. Here, food is more than nourishment. It is memory, resilience, and ritual. When temperatures drop to 40 degrees below zero, cooking becomes an act of preservation, a dialogue with nature itself. The people of the North have learned to transform scarcity into flavor and ice into art. The most famous dish, stroganina, is simplicity in perfection. Thin slices of raw, frozen fish carved directly from the ice. Served cold, its texture is like crystal, its taste clean and sharp as the air outside. Each slice reminds the eater that freshness here is eternal. The world itself is a refrigerator. Then comes reindeer soup, rich and smoky, simmered for hours to draw warmth from bone. And kumis, fermented mare's milk, a drink of the steppe, both sour and alive, said to carry the spirit of endurance. Every recipe in Siberia tells a story of balance. Fire meets frost, hunger meets patience. Nothing is wasted. Even snow is used to preserve and purify. To eat here is to participate in the rhythm of survival, to taste the intelligence of generations who learn to live without abundance. In this cuisine, luxury is not found in rarity, but in continuity, the quiet triumph of warmth over an endless winter. Ancient beliefs, spirits of snow and darkness. In the frozen heart of Siberia, faith was never confined to temples or written texts. It was shaped by wind, carved by frost, and whispered by fire. Long before modern religion reached these lands, the people here lived with a worldview woven tightly to the natural world, a spiritual system known as shamanism. To them, every river had a voice, every mountain a guardian, and every storm a soul. The shaman, draped in furs and adorned with metal charms, stood between the human and the unseen. During rituals, the steady beat of a drum echoed like a heartbeat through the snow. Smoke spiraled upward, carrying prayers to the upper world, while chants summoned spirits of ancestors for guidance and healing. It was not superstition. It was survival. In a land where life depended on harmony with nature, respecting the invisible meant protecting the visible. Even today, echoes of these beliefs remain. Modern Yakut families may attend church or school, but still leave offerings to the master of the fire before winter, or whisper to the spirit of the forest before hunting. The old faith has not vanished. It has adapted, quietly breathing beneath the surface of modern life. In Siberia, the sacred never disappears. It only changes form, moving with the wind and the snow, like everything else that endures here. Mysterious symbols, the hidden language of stone. Scattered across the cliffs and riverbanks of Siberia are markings older than history itself. Strange lines carved into rock, spirals, figures of hunters, and beings with wings or halos of light. These are the petroglyphs of the Altai and Lena regions, silent messages left thousands of years ago by people whose names are long forgotten. In the frozen stillness, they endure, their meanings blurred by time, yet never erased. Archaeologists study them with modern tools, lasers, chemical scans, satellite imaging, but the mystery deepens with every discovery. Some carvings seem to depict constellations, suggesting an ancient understanding of the cosmos. Others show humans standing beside creatures that do not exist today, or perhaps that were never of this earth. While many see them as mythic symbols, others believe they might represent early attempts at recording the relationship between humankind and the unknown. For the local tribes, these stones are not just artifacts, they are ancestors. Shamans still visit them to perform quiet rituals, touching the grooves as though tracing veins of memory. They believe the carvings hold energy, a kind of frozen consciousness that listens. Whether viewed through science or spirituality, the message remains the same. Even in the earliest ages, humans sought to communicate beyond themselves, carving their wonder into the bones of the planet. Legends and collective memory. When stories become souls. In the endless winters of Siberia, stories are more than entertainment. They are survival. When the wind howls for weeks and darkness swallows the sun, words become warmth and memory becomes fire. Around small flames in wooden huts, elders pass down tales that have traveled across centuries, of spirits walking in snowstorms, of stars that fall and become people, of villages that vanish into the mist and reappear a generation later. These legends are not meant to frighten. They are maps of emotion, ways to explain loneliness, loss, and hope. The story of a vanishing village, for example, may speak not of disappearance, but of migration, of the people who left, and were never seen again. Yet in the telling, they never truly vanish. Their names repeated in whispers keep them alive. Psychologists call this collective memory, a shared inheritance that binds a culture even when its physical traces fade. In Siberia, myths are not separate from history. They are history, told in metaphors that snow cannot erase. Every story carries a moral. Respect the land. Remember your ancestors. Never mock the unseen. Through the rhythm of storytelling, each generation renews its connection to the one before, turning memory into identity and identity into soul. The film that confused science, When Faith Meets Light. In the early 1980s, a small research team from Yakutsk University recorded a documentary about shamanic rituals in the tundra. It was meant to be a simple ethnographic project, a record of ancient traditions before they vanished, but what they captured on film would puzzle scientists for decades. During a night ceremony, as a shaman chanted beneath a curtain of aurora, the camera began to pick up waves of moving light that seemed to respond to the rhythm of the drum. The glow pulsed, shifted, and then, inexplicably, mirrored the cadence of the human heartbeat. At first, the researchers thought it was camera malfunction or reflection from campfire smoke, but further analysis revealed no errors. Some frames even showed faint geometric patterns, circles and spirals like the ancient carvings on Altai stones. Physicists later suggested the phenomenon could be a plasma effect or low-frequency electromagnetic interference caused by the aurora. Yet others, including the local shamans, offered a simpler explanation. The sky was listening. Today, the film sits in an archive, rarely shown, not because it is frightening, but because it defies easy categorization. Is it science or spirit? Light or consciousness? The footage remains an enigma, a brief moment when the boundary between belief and reality seemed to blur. Perhaps the mystery is not what the camera saw, but what the people behind it began to feel, that the world itself can answer if you know how to speak its language. The village that lives in memory, what never truly disappears. Somewhere in the white silence of Siberia, there once stood a village called Karamensk, or so the elders say. Today, no road leads there, no map marks its place. Yet, when winter falls and the wind carries a certain tone, the people of nearby settlements still speak of it in the present tense. For them, Karamensk was never truly lost. It simply crossed into memory, that invisible territory where stories, songs, and names outlive wood and stone. Anthropologists searching for its ruins find only fragments. A foundation buried under ice, a rusted kettle, a child's carved toy. But when they speak to those who remember, they discover something deeper, a sense that Karamensk now exists not as a location, but as a rhythm in the cultural heart of Siberia. Its legacy flows through music, ritual, and the unspoken understanding that nothing created by humans truly disappears. It changes, adapts, transforms, just as people do. Perhaps that is the final truth hidden in the frost. What vanishes from sight can still echo in spirit. Villages may crumble, but the stories they leave behind become part of the land itself, breathing through the snow, whispering through the wind, and as long as someone listens, the village and its people will never be gone. In the vast silence of Siberia, every breath feels ancient. The wind carries not only cold, but memory, the echo of drums, the laughter of children long gone, the pulse of life that refuses to fade. Here, disappearance is an illusion. The land remembers everything. Every song sung to the fire, every carving on stone, every footprint now buried under snow, all remain waiting for those who know how to listen. Perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all, that what we call lost is never truly gone. Culture, belief, art, they shift, they hide, they endure. Like ice melting and refreezing, they transform, but never vanish. Karamensk, the vanished village, is not a ghost story. It is a reminder that memory itself is a form of existence. So when you stand in silence in any forgotten place, listen closely. Beneath the hush of the wind, you might still hear them, the voices of a people who found eternity, not in monuments, but in the fragile, unending rhythm of remembrance.